Hello everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we're creating subtle stenciled backgrounds with glitter paste. What I love about glitter paste is this is something that could be done with any number of stencils. I am going to be using all brand new stamps, dies, and stencils from the Hero Arts February 2024, my monthly Hero release. In each of my monthly videos for Hero Arts, I use add-ons only. For cards featuring the classic or premium kits, please be sure to visit the Hero Arts site and blog. To start, I am combining Splash, and then we're going to go with a little Blue Lagoon, and finally Grape, I believe, for our first background. Now my backgrounds all measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. This is going to leave a really nice 1/8 inch all the way around my card panels when I add them to a white card base. I knew when I was designing these that I would have quite a few white elements on my cards, and often I love that little touch of a white border all the way around. Blue Hawaii, why I said Blue Lagoon, I don't know. And Grape Slush is my third color. Now, this was going to be what I call a one-hit wonder, maybe, because I was just going to do one card. I did this background, and as I was inking it, I thought, you know, I love my Skittle Colors Reactive inks from Hero Arts. Let's see what other fun backgrounds we can make. Maybe we can take different backgrounds. We're going to do the whole rainbow, but each card will be its own. I've done this before. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I decided that I would have my first background here. I guess I kind of went out of rainbow order, if you will, be my darker blues and purples, or my more royal to dark blue purple. Then we're going to have our limey greens and our aquas. And finally, we're going to have our reds, oranges, and yellows. And each card stands alone. Each card is going to feature the Dove and Olive Branch Fancy Die, sentiments from the Peace and Love bundle, and also sentiments from the Cosmos and Lavender bundle. But same basic design. The background stamp is going to be the same. The stenciling is going to be the same. Just the colors change on each of these cards. And it really, really was a super fun way to challenge myself. So once we have our green, we're going to go with Pool Party and Blue Raspberry blended in. I love this one as well, and just working slow. Now, one of the things to keep in mind when you're ink blending is to work the next color into the previous color for that beautiful seamless blend. Most of the rest of this card goes together very quickly. And this isn't that time consuming, but I think that starting with a good foundation, a good base for your card is key, because this card doesn't have tons of die cuts and things covering up the background. The background really is the star of the show for the most part. It's helping reinforce those sentiments and the dove that we are adding to this card. So I'm just going to keep you'll notice I'm really working on beautiful seamless blends for each of these. Making sure that my blending brushes are clean. I usually just try to wipe off as much excess as possible with a blending brush. I'm using a baby wipe to clean my glass mat. I love using a glass mat for this for very quick and easy cleanup. All right, for our third, let's do a little yellow, a little orange, and a little red. And I love how all of these are going to give the images just a little bit different look. It's kind of funny, but I held them up and I showed my youngest son, and he goes, "Ooh, I like the purple blue one." So it's just kind of funny to me which one resonates with which viewer, really. Or maybe all of them. I love them all together. They're super pretty. Now, if you want, and I think I would probably use a smaller blending brush than the large size, you could do a rainbow background where you incorporate all the colors, just doing much skinnier stripes or stripes on the diagonal, something to that effect. And you could incorporate all the colors and achieve a very similar effect. Once we have the fruit punch blended into the creamsicle, we are going to be ready to stamp our text background. Now, text background is nothing new. If you have been here before, you guys know that I am all about a good text background, and Hero Arts has some of my favorites out there. Not only did they bring us a beautiful text background last month in the January 2024 My Monthly Hero release, but they have brought us another one this month, and I am here for it. This month, it is the Words of Peace bold print. I am going to remove my insert out of my MISTI. I do have a sticky mat in here, which will help hold my panel in place. Then we're going to take our Words of Peace bold print, and using the Unicorn White Pigment ink from Hero Arts, we are going to stamp up our background stamp, or ink up, pardon me, our background stamp, and stamp this right over our background. Now, I did have to stop partway through and re-ink my ink pad. My Unicorn White gets a lot of love, and so it definitely needed re-inked because it's one of my most used ink pads. So you can see that this is a lot juicier. I'm just going to stamp that, ink it all up, and pop it right here on the background. And look at the beautiful text over our ink blending. That alone is so, so pretty, very subtle, and you could use it just like that. You could even do your reactive ink colors, maybe the darker colors like Grape Slush to Blue Hawaii over the background if you want a little bit different look. Now, the white is showing up pretty dark. I say dark, but that's relative. Here, when it first goes on, I do find that the pigment ink will kind of fade a tiny bit as it dries, but that is totally okay. Oh, so pretty. Look at those. Next, I am going to grab my stamp wheel and some Hero Arts glitter paste, which is my favorite, and we are going to be taking the new stencil from the release called Peace Daisy. Now, this stencil, I don't want it to overpower the rest of the design. This is where the magic of subtle stenciling with glitter paste comes in. This is going to give us a beautiful background that has texture, but is not going to take away from the design. It's going to be more at an angle. You're going to see this beautiful glitter. You're still going to see your color. You're still going to see your text, even through that paste. So I am applying a very thin layer through this with a palette knife. You could also use a stencil pal to scrape that and get even thinner. I wanted it to be very thin, just providing the most minimal amount of texture so that it mostly dries quickly. Oh my word, look at that. It's so pretty. For a more bold effect, you might want to try the white texture paste or even a gold or a black. I think black over this would be super showy and give you a very dramatic effect, not so subtle. Now I'm going to just do this a couple more times. Now, the other benefit of doing a very thin coat, you'll notice I am scraping this mostly off my stencil as I'm working, so I'm not having to clean it in between backgrounds. I have really been into lately creating multiples when I am making something messy like this, just because if I'm already going to have to wash all of these supplies, and I very much encourage you to wash them immediately, otherwise it cakes on and it will not come off at all, then I want to make the most of it. So we're going to make 3 all at once. I'll go wash everything really good, set it in my drying rack to dry, and then I can move on to die cutting the doves and olive branches and sentiments and all of that good stuff. So the backgrounds, again, very subtle, but so, so beautiful. Now we're going to take some granite ink and we are going to add a little bit of color to the edges of our die cut doves. I went ahead and die cut the dove and olive branch 3 times from smooth white cardstock, and using a very small blending brush, I'm applying that dark, or I say dark, it's a very light gray ink, the dove ink is, just to the edges. It's picking up on the beauty of the fancy die, as you can see, just adding a little shading, a little interest, still going to give the dove the look of being white, which is what I want. For the beak of the dove, I will take another small blending brush. You could also use a marker if you want to, that might even be a little easier, but I had the creamsicle ink out already, so I'm just using that small round blending brush and kind of tapping almost the ink onto the beak. In fact, while I've made that little mess, let's just go ahead and do the other 2 before I add the rest of the color to the wings and the body of the additional 2 doves. Again, you'll notice I brought my glass mat back out because the ease of cleaning this up is so quick and easy. I think I mention this pretty much every single month with Hero Arts, but their fancy dies are some of the best dies out there as far as detail goes. I mean, look at the detail on these doves. Absolutely incredible with all of the die cutting in these. Just so spectacular. Now, as beautiful as these are, the smallest little thing is going to bring these to life. And that is taking a black jelly roll pen and adding the eye detail. If you want, you could take black pearls, you could color it in with another kind of black marking tool, whatever you like to use. I personally love the jelly roll pen for eyes, as it does give it, I call it a raised look, although it is not exactly raised, but it does very much give it that look. And once I add the eye, look at how the dove comes to life. To me, that is just so spectacular how that happens. Let's take the olive branch now, and I am going to use key lime and also green apple and blend those colors, almost kind of sometimes a blending motion, but a lot of tapping. These are pretty delicate and I don't want to tear them. So we'll do all 3 of these, and then we're going to stamp some sentiments to use on our cards. Now, originally I planned to just use the Peace and Love bundle, which are sentiments that are really beautiful and lots of different styles. I want to use the small hearts and have each one of my cards say sending love, sending joy, or sending peace. So that is another little small difference between the 3 cards. Now, when I stamped that and place the doves and the olive branch and those greetings on my card, I still felt like I need a little something else, and it could almost be another small greeting. And so I will dive into another new stamp set from the release called the Cosmos and Lavender bundle. And I think that that really balances it all out, but I'll show you that here in a minute. We're going to grab our greetings. I will have to stamp sending several times. There are dies for all of these things, which is amazing because it's so easy to cut. Even the word sending has a die. And we're going to stamp these with VersaFine ONYX black ink to get a very bold black greeting. Now, I talk about this a lot in my videos that often I will choose not to use black for one reason or another. Maybe I want things to not stand out quite as much, or I would like them to tie into whatever card I'm creating, so I'll choose a colorful ink. But there are times when black is the best answer, and this is a card design where I feel that that is true. I had considered stamping the hearts with one of the colors of ink and doing more of a tone on tone with each background. Excuse me. However, I feel like the black is such a showstopper here. It really shows up. It's bold and it's beautiful. And I think it was the right choice for this card. So now that I have all of these stamped, I will take them and die cut each of these, and then we're going to place them right on our background. Now, I love having a pair of wire snips handy to snip my dies apart. You can see there's the little rectangle, there is the little heart. I'll use a little repositionable tape to hold those down, run them through, and I'm going to repeat this 2 more times. Then we're going to grab some foam adhesive and card bases. So using a little liquid glue, and I am using the glue press today, I am going to put glue on the back of each of my panels and glue them down. Remember at the beginning, I said I trimmed my panels to 4 by 5 1/4, so it's going to leave a beautiful white border all the way around. You can see now that with the addition of the dove and the little white outline around my greetings, that is going to tie in so nicely with that little bit of border. It frames up these beautiful textured backgrounds perfectly. Then using that foam adhesive, we're going to put foam on the back of our doves and glue those or adhere those down in place. So I kind of like how that looks. I need to figure out my olive branch. I want it to look like the olive branch and the heart are in the dove's mouth. Then we have our sending sentiment. So I play around with that just a little bit. Once I have settled on something, we're going to go with it. I glued the olive branch to the dove's mouth. Tweezers probably would be handy here, but I'm going to grab actually a small foam adhesive square and kind of secure that right to the dove. Now, the thing about the dove, or the branch, pardon me, it's very delicate, so I did not put foam on the back of that. It's going to just kind of be hanging out there, if you will. So there is the first one attached, a couple of thin foam adhesive strips to the word sending, and we're going to pop that right there, and I'm loving it. I think it looks good, but I just feel like that bottom portion needs a little something. So I did off camera stamp 3 sentiments from the Cosmos and Lavender bundle. I went ahead and stamped them with the VersaFine ONYX black ink, die cut them because they do have coordinating dies. I love that too. And I'm placing foam adhesive on the back of each of these. I used Have a Good Day twice, and then for the sending piece card, I used I'm Here For You. I really love how even with the 2 sentiment stamp sets I'm using, you can really mix and match them. And to me, that is just perfection. I absolutely love how these cards turned out. And we have 3 more cards to add to our craft stash that have beautiful, subtle, stenciled glitter backgrounds. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these cards featuring Hero Arts February 2024 My Monthly Hero add-on release products. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new paper crafting video or I go live. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.